This week we're working on a sit pretty. Sit pretty is a great behavior for building core, but it needs to be done properly. The dog's back needs to be straight, not arched and not roached, and the dog's head should be parallel with the ground. If you've never taught a sit pretty before, start by assisting them by holding one paw and pushing the treat into them as they lift up rather than holding it up in the air. You can also assist your dog by having them put their back up against your legs facing away from you, or you can also use a wall. What I'm looking for in a good setup is a nice straight back. The dog should be using their core when they lift up, and they should not be leaning backwards for balance. Their nose should be parallel to the ground and not looking up. So that means that you need to make sure that you're giving them a treat in an appropriate position that doesn't encourage them to lift their head. The next behavior we're working is the ipsilateral stand. The ipsilateral stand is when the dog places one rear and one front foot on a target on the same side. So this will be an extension of what you were working on last week with the lateral stepping. The dog can lateral step up to an object and place the rear and front foot on the same side on the object and stop. One of the challenges when you start teaching this behavior is that the dog wants to put all four paws up on the object. So the more you slant it to start with, the easier it is because the dog doesn't really want to step up with all four paws.
Yay! Very good. Step up. Yep. Step up.
As when you were working on the lateral stepping, you want the dog to be moving with their back fairly straight so that their front and rear are moving at the same pace and that they reach out with both the front and the rear feet at the same time.
Good. Step. Step. Good.
Here's a look at the exercise I was talking about in the notes. So the dog does an ipsilateral stand with one side, steps up with all four paws, steps down the other side in another ipsilateral stand, and then side steps away. Unfortunately, I don't have room in this foot to sidestep away. You want to hold each position for 3 to 5 seconds.
Step off. Yes. And step. 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 Good. Up. And step.
Here is a more advanced exercise with 2 fit bones end to end. As you can see, Crush steps off into the ipsilateral stand and then steps back up to the bones and then down again into the ipsilateral stand. There she is doing it on the other side. This is a very advanced exercise because the bones obviously don't move together, so the dog has to balance both front and back feet separately. So this is just to give you an idea of where you can go with the exercise when the dog's more advanced.
And step. And up.
The last exercise is the rear foot target with the front feet pivoting around. This is very similar to the rear foot pivot, except that the dog obviously has the rear foot targeting onto something. So here you can see I'm doing it on a pot. This is just to show that you really don't need equipment to do it. As you can see, I'm using a treat to lure around in a semicircle around the object. And here we're using the aerobic bench. So she's moving her front feet and keeping her rear feet still.
Good.
Once the dog is good at this, you can move it to an unstable surface. Here we're using a balance disc and having the dog rotate their front feet around in a semicircle with their rear feet targeted to the balance disc. Try and keep the dog's head in a neutral position, not either up or down, so that their back remains somewhat straight.
Good girl.
I'm showing the pivoting on the front feet with 2 paw pods. I'm sorry that one is out of the picture, but there are 2 paw pods here, and Crush is putting both feet on one paw pod and then moving laterally to the other paw pod.
Yes. Yes.